Hey everyone, welcome to this special episode of Discover Wisconsin focused on energy savings.
Throughout the year, I toured businesses and homes that have worked with Focus on Energy to reduce their carbon footprint and make a positive impact in the world.
And I got to talk to trade allies and utility providers and how they work with Focus on Energy to empower Wisconsinites on their own energy use journeys.
Get a taste of it all in this upcoming episode and head over to the Discover Wisconsin app to get a full look at the entire digital series.
And let's kick it off with my conversation with the Managing Director of Focus on Energy. Welcome and thanks for joining us. I'm here with Lisa, Managing Director of Focus on Energy. How you doing, Lisa?
I'm doing really well, thanks.
Tell us a little bit about what you do here for Focus on Energy.
Well, we really empower people and businesses to make smart decisions about energy and make those good choices to save energy.
I'm a homeowner. No, I'm a business. No, I'm a farmer. How do I get started if I want to work with Focus on Energy?
Well, the good news is you start the same way every time. I recommend you come to our website, see what we have available as far as project help and incentives, and then give our experts a call. On our website, you can find a trade ally that you might be able to work with. That contractor can help guide your way and help get you through the project.
I talked to some of the trade allies, which we're going to see in a little bit. And where do they come in the process of the project that the homeowner or the business is working on?
So the trade allies are really the contractors, and that's a key part to where they come into the process. They're the folks that really come in and install the equipment in your home or businesses. We have a trade ally network, and we have well over 2,000 trade allies actually in the state that work with us.
I got a chance to talk to a couple of these trade allies myself. Let's check it out. How you doing, Torrance?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you want to tell us a little bit about what you do with Accurate Airtight?
Yeah. So we are one of the trade allies with the Focus on Energy program. We're what's considered a home performance contractor. So to my mother, I say I'm an insulator, but it goes far, far beyond that. You know, there is so much more that goes into making a high-performance home comfortable, livable, and energy efficient. Typically, we're setting up what I call the big red door, a fake door, if you will, that we put on the front of the house, depressurized. We're sucking that air out of the house, and with that, we're able to identify where these leakage pathways are with what's called an infrared camera. It's X-ray vision for the walls, if you will, via temperature difference. And those are areas that we can look at making significant comfort improvements through adding either air sealing or insulation to the structure.
Yeah, well, it's got to be a good feeling when you see the effects of doing all the different improvements to the house, depending on what it needed, to see that it actually made all those energy differences.
Absolutely. You know, a quality job is really paramount to the work that we do. And like you said, it does feel good to know that we're not only helping the customer save money, but we're also helping the environment by reducing the carbon footprint of that particular home.
How you doing, JD?
I'm doing outstanding. Happy to be here.
All right, very good. So how did Arch Electric get going with Focus on Energy?
Well, we've been doing solar in Wisconsin since 2003, and back then the solar market was even less developed than it is now. We've come in an extraordinarily long way since then. No one thinks solar when they think the Midwest, unfortunately, but we've had a great state program going for 20 years. It's generally incredible and something Wisconsinites should be proud of.
As a homeowner myself, I'm even just thinking like, yeah, I'd love to get into solar. Like, where do you even begin? Because if you just search, how do you do solar? It's like, it's too overwhelming. So having that resource as sort of a jumping off point is huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, we're living in the solar boom. So that means there's a lot of people who call and say, I have a home, I've been here 10 years, how many panels do I need? And the reality is that solar is a lot more complicated than that. You should learn about your options. There is not a one size fits all. There is no easy button. There's a whole process that goes into that. You always want to start going in with knowledge and a good feeling. And Focus on Energy has helped us do that. I don't think the industry would be anywhere near as good as it is without it.
Watch the extended interviews by downloading the Discover Wisconsin app. Stay tuned. Coming up next, Alex will be visiting some local homes where she'll learn about homeowners' energy-saving journeys. Welcome back to Discover Wisconsin, where we're learning about how to save energy at home.
Looking to save the environment and money at home? Today we're talking to 3 homeowners who partnered with Focus on Energy to do just that. Around 8,000 Wisconsin homeowners have solar panels, and 3 of them live right here on Angie Street. That's right, keeping up with the Joneses around here means contributing to saving the planet. Let's learn more. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks so much for having me. So Angie, having solar panels on your homes has become a neighborhood tradition. Tell me a little bit about how you saw your neighbor have them and it inspired you.
A couple of my neighbors got them previously, and I was intrigued by it because I've always wanted to look into solar panels and just didn't take the time to do it. So hearing about their experience, and decided right then and there that I was going to participate in that.
So tell me a little bit about the available incentives and how it helped inspire you to do this project.
Yeah, that was a huge part of it. The first one is obviously the Focus on Energy incentive, and then there was the federal tax incentive, and then ultimately the savings on my energy bill and possibly getting paid back from the energy company for excess energy. That will be a cost savings as well. I learned growing up that you should always leave a place better than the way you found it, and obviously that counts for Mother Earth. So always thought solar panels would be a great idea to use solar energy versus regular energy.
Now we're going to talk to Jason to hear about which projects are helping him achieve his goal of having a carbon zero home. So we're at your beautiful home. What's been the inspiration behind becoming very energy efficient?
Yeah, it's probably a little cliche, but the feel good of it, knowing that I'm doing things to improve the planet. We've considered buying electric vehicles, things like that, but for us personally, we've decided that investing in our home is the most beneficial from our perspective.
And for those considering making more energy efficient decisions for their home, would you say that that's where you really can make the most impact on the environment, even compared to a car, for example?
Yeah, I think so, because it's a lifetime impact. Obviously, it's a much bigger impact. So you're investing in something that should retain, at minimal, retain its value and eventually increase in value as well.
So tell me a little bit about working with Focus on Energy. How are they helping you achieve your goal of having a carbon zero footprint?
Well, I think just having the knowledge and the ability to talk to people about what the next steps are and how to make that approach. Having the information that there's federal programs out there, tax incentives, things like that. With Focus on Energy, it's not a sales pitch, it's a goals pitch.
Can you imagine coming home on a cold or hot day and feeling instant comfort without the high cost? That's Patrick and Joanne's experience every single day. Let's learn more. Hi there.
Hi, Alex. Come on in. Welcome.
So Patrick, tell me what inspired you to work with Focus on Energy in the first place?
Well, draftiness was probably the biggest issue that we had. We started with an audit, and we found out that things like, we had a window that needed to be replaced, but mostly the insulation. By making sure we had good insulation, we didn't have to wear that extra layer of sweater in the house, and it just felt a lot tighter and more comfortable, less air movement. It was a dramatic difference, and we felt it right away.
So what tips or insights would you share with any homeowner that's thinking about becoming more energy efficient and working with Focus on Energy?
Well, certainly getting that energy audit up front is really helpful, because you do find that there are a lot of simple things, the flow regulators, the LEDs, the insulation, that are less costly and have more of an impact. They've really paid off for us and our family.
As you can see, there are many benefits to having an energy efficient home. Start your journey by contacting Focus on Energy.
Watch more Discover Wisconsin through our app, which is available on these smart devices and more. Coming up next, I'll be talking more with Focus on Energy's Managing Director about their partnership with your local utilities. Hey, welcome back. This is Discover Wisconsin. Welcome back. I'm here with Lisa, and I wanted to ask you about the utility providers. And so what is the relationship with the local utilities and Focus on Energy?
Well, we at Focus on Energy are running our programs on behalf of utility partners. We're working to deliver energy efficiency throughout the state and give their customers all of the benefits that come along with energy efficiency.
So let's say there's a big new construction project, big one, like a school or a stadium or some giant factory. When does working with the local utility come in during the process?
Well, that's really where our energy advisors come in here. And our energy advisors are experts for each sector. And that person has done these projects again and again, and they have the expertise to really work with the customer, suggest things that would work well in a school environment. And at that point, then they also bring in the utility.
So can you tell me about the design assistance program? Because that seems like a really important part of all this.
It is. It's a fantastic program. So we encourage people when they're starting a large new construction project or have a major retrofit to come to us and use that energy design assistance program. And what that really does for customers is it gives them that whole building analysis, ideally before the project starts, to help them identify equipment that they might need or ways that they can save energy from the very beginning of the project, and really include that in their project plans and their construction plans and get the maximum benefit out.
Well, we got a chance to see a couple of these examples in action. We went up to Superior and to the Epicurean factory where they make cutting boards. And they had this really cool system where they would capture the heat from all of these giant machines and then use all this heat that's just getting lost to actually heat the factory, keep the workers warm. So that was really great. And then we got to go to Sun Prairie, to the new middle school, and see some of the things they had implemented. So it was really cool to see some of that in action. In fact, why don't we check out some of that right now? Hey there, I'm in Sun Prairie, where in 2018, 2 new schools were built. And today I'm standing in front of the latest construction project of a brand new high school. And through the partnership with the local utility and Focus on Energy's Design Assistance Program, not only was the school district able to save a lot of money through incentive payments, but they were able to incorporate energy efficiency into the design process from the ground up. Well, coming up next, we're going to find out all the things that are going on to keep Sun Prairie schools energy efficient. I'm here with Kevin Splain, the Sustainability Manager for the Sun Prairie Area School District. How you doing, Kevin?
Good.
All right. What does it mean to be a Sustainability Manager?
Sure. I've been the Sustainability Manager here for the school district for about 6 years. I have 17 facilities. I get to focus on them daily. Every day when I boot up my computer, I can monitor all of our facilities from my desk, improving efficiency or seeing what works and what doesn't from there.
Are there things that are incorporated into the architecture itself that, unless somebody pointed it out, you wouldn't necessarily know?
Sure. The design team goes through some iterations of both solar glazing, so what the window, the tinting, and then placement of windows for the best daylight harvesting. So as the light comes up, the windows and the glass areas are set so that we can kind of turn down the lights in the building and utilize outside daylighting.
This has been a great partnership between Sun Prairie Utilities and the school district for many, many years, way before my time here. They're very committed to energy efficiency and lowering their carbon footprint, so it's been a great fit. We want to see that as well. Sun Prairie Utilities has a new construction design assistance program, so the school district participated in that, so that's been a good fit for them as far as us making recommendations on energy efficiency options. That leads to new schools, for example, here at Meadowview.
WPPI works with Focus on Energy.
That's right, yes.
And so how does that relationship?
Typically when I have a customer who wants to do an energy efficiency project, I usually bring in Focus on Energy. They're a great resource for information, so we can really kind of guide that customer through the process and kind of help them take advantage of the incentives that not only Sun Prairie Utilities offers, but also Focus on Energy does as well.
Be sure to check out Discover Wisconsin's official podcast, The Cabin. Up next, Alex will be meeting with local Wisconsin beer and cheesemakers. And we're back to this special episode of Discover Wisconsin.
We all know Wisconsinites love their beer and cheese, but did you know sustainability is very important to a lot of small and large companies across the state? Today we're going to visit a few of them to see how they're partnering with Focus on Energy to meet their sustainability goals. As always in Wisconsin, we start with beer, but not just any beer. New Glarus Brewing Company, one of Wisconsin's favorite breweries and one of the most sustainable across the country. Not only is New Glarus one of the most loved breweries in the country, it's also one of the most sustainable. Tell me why that's important to you guys.
Sustainability is part of our ethos here. A lot of things what we do need to be environmentally conscious because brewing requires a lot of energy, but we're trying to do it in the most sustainable and efficient manner as possible. So we've implemented a lot of different things to use energy wisely.
And what made you want to tap Focus on Energy to help you with those initiatives?
Well, Focus on Energy helps in a couple of ways. One, the financial incentives are very helpful in getting stuff through the budget process, but they also allow us some opportunities to get some technical resources. But a lot of the resources are good, or they can guide us down the path that says, hey, here's what other people are doing to save energy. Does it work for you? Great. So it gives us ideas, and we can also work as a team to come up with the best and most efficient way to do what we're going to do.
And there are a lot of benefits to a company interested in working with Focus on Energy and becoming more energy efficient, both from a monetary perspective and of course on saving on energy, right?
Yes, saving on energy, which is kind of monetary, but it's also the right thing to do. You know, sustainability for the children and the children's generations is important. So the more efficient we are now, the better we'll be in the future.
We're at Crave Brothers Farmstead Cheese in Waterloo, and they produce cheeses with 100% renewable energy. Let's go talk to the owners. You guys are basically cow-powered, right? What does that mean?
When we talk cow power, of course, cows produce a lot of waste. Besides the milk that we all enjoy, they produce manure. And so what we're doing is we're basically fermenting that manure in the digesters like you see behind us here. And with that, it releases methane. And what we're doing is taking the methane, powering an engine, and the engine turns a generator, which produces electricity. Of course, we use electricity here to power our farm and our cheese factory, but we still have an excess amount that would go on the grid that would power probably, besides our farm and cheese factory, about 300 area homes.
And so what inspired you to work with Focus on Energy?
What Focus on Energy does is bring in the expertise to show us what new technologies are out there, to maybe reinforce and say, yeah, you guys go ahead with that project because we'll have some focus money on the back end for you to help offset that cost. And they'll even come in and maybe point out some existing things that we have going on where we could do some updates and put some energy conserving practices in place.
Just when I thought it doesn't get any better than beer and cheese, we've thrown saving energy into the mix. Now that's something to cheers to. Well, thank you so much for joining us in this episode.
Hope you had a chance to learn a little bit about what you can do to save energy in your own life.
Get started today at Focus on Energy's website.
And be sure to check out the digital shorts online and on the Discover Wisconsin app.
See you next time.
Continue the adventure and stream Discover Wisconsin on all your favorite devices by scanning the QR code in the upper right corner of your screen.